So we are IFF1, Indian fans of F1. So we have gathered here to talk about the latest GP that happened in Formula One, which is Spanish GP. So I'm myself Arvind. I have Meher and Krishanu with me. We'll be going through the weekend and talking about the major points, talking points, and we did have a good race in terms of Spanish GP, we must say, because normally when it comes to Spanish GP, it kind of gets boring. But this 2022 cars really are proving that any track can be made interesting if the rules are actually in on road and on point. So yeah, so welcome to the podcast, Mihir and Krishanu. And
Hello.
Hello.
yeah, how are you guys doing?
All good.
We're all good. All good. All good.
Yeah. So we do have an exciting season ahead of us, and this Spanish GP has just given us a new championship leader. Not to forget. So let's get started with a podcast. So let me throw some light on qualifying that we had. So Saturday evening, this started off with Q3. There was the main, according to Mihir and Krishan, I would like to know your views on this.
Yes, yes.
In terms of qualifying, I would like to know which part was the most highlighting for you, or you find it like more fascinating for you in terms of qualifying.
The moment for me when Leclerc spun out in Q3, and after that also soaking up so much pressure, he was he just pulled that extra inch out of the car and went into the 1 minute 18th. That was quite surprising for everyone actually, because the 1 minute 19 flat which Verstappen did was seeming to be unbeatable, and he was on course for a pole after Leclerc spun. So I must say that lap was very much champion's drive from Leclerc, and though it's unfortunate what the events unfollowed the following day, but that drive showed that Leclerc is ready for the championship and the high pressure which comes with it.
Yeah, definitely. And Meher, I would like to know your thoughts on that.
Yes, adding to Krishanu, I mean, this may probably sound biased coming from Leclerc fan, but yes, that was an absolute beautiful lap to watch. I mean, after he spun out, as Krishanu said, he only had one chance, just one lap, and
Yes.
that's just immense pressure to beat the Verstappen's time. Also, Verstappen had the problems in qualifying too, so we can't forget that too. But also, as Horner mentioned, that even without the problem, the time which Leclerc posted was probably unbeatable. So yeah, that's I think the highlighting point from qualifying.
Yeah, and I would like to put out there, even I'm a Leclerc fan. I'm wearing a t-shirt.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So yeah,
That's
for me,
nice.
if you ask me, my highlight point was Haas getting into Q3, both the Haases.
Oh
Uh,
yes, how can we forget that?
yeah,
Yeah,
that
yeah.
was
I
really,
think it was after Brazil 2019 they are in the Q3.
yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
after a long time, after a very long.
Yeah, uh, yeah, Gunter might be really happy with that, and probably not about the race, but qualifying did give them something.
Yep.
Yes,
Yeah,
that shows the car has pace, and
yeah,
the drivers just need to get a hang of things and just start scoring consistently. Actually, K-Mag has done his part after being out of the car in 2021 and just getting back to those new cars. He's actually shown that he has what it takes.
Yes, man,
So
it's just extraordinary performance. I mean,
yes, yes,
yeah,
yes.
he's literally outperforming that car.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah. So that's it for qualifying. We'll move on to the race part. Uh, uh, Meher, the start down to the turn one, 600-meter straight from the start lane. So from the starting grid,
Um,
Leclerc, yeah,
yes, Leclerc got off very well. So did Verstappen. but Leclerc managed to cut him off on the right hand side of the track, which was I think necessary to avoid overtaking down the inside into turn one. And yes, it was pretty much a decent move from him and clean racing as we have seen between them. And also, I would like to mention Sainz. He didn't have a very good start. He was lagging quite a bit. I think Perez took him directly before even turn one. Perez overtook him.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
yeah, he even had a poor start, and of course we know the consequences he had afterwards, that spin and all of that. But yes, I think some of the points he gathered for the team were crucial as Leclerc DNF. So yeah, a pretty not a very good race, but yes,
At
points.
least Ferrari salvaged some of the points, which it's better than nothing, I guess.
Yes, yes,
Yeah,
exactly.
damage limitation. Yeah.
Yes, yes.
Yeah. So another point, like to talk about the start was Hamilton. Lewis, j- j- hard luck for him. Uh, he didn't have a good start and he fell through. He had that moment with K-Mag, which obviously I feel wasn't his fault, but still he had to go through that for what he had to in turn four, what he had done in turn four. So yeah, he got his tire punctured and had to crawl back to the pits, and he was actually 54 seconds behind Leclerc, like all the way P19. K-Mag had already been on the gravel by that point. So he had
I'll tell you
a bit.
something.
Yeah,
I'll tell
sure.
you something. I'm an avid Mercedes fan, and like not because of the recent successes. I've watched the races of the 1950s and all also,
Oh,
and that
okay.
team seems to have a winning record in everything they perform, in everything they participate in. So when the season started and they were having these struggles, I thought that this team is someone who can just pull out of things and all. And the Spain weekend was going very well for them. And although Hamilton is struggling with his car compared to George, and that's a bound thing to happen. Nobody can live in their peaks all the time, and nobody can have a performance highs. So Hamilton hitting a low might sound a bit outrageous and all, but he hasn't lost his touch yet because the recovery drive he gave. Because from the point saying that retire the car and save the engine, from going to P4, P5, and he just lost P5 just because of the engine issue which they were having, the cooling issue,
Overeating issues.
overheating issues they were having.
Right, right. He could have
So
finished P4 easily. He could
yes,
have finished
easily he
P4
could
easily.
have finished P4, and he
Yes.
was on an alternate strategy. Don't forget that he was on an alternate strategy, starting on the mediums. So the race would have panned out much differently, and if Hamilton would have been in front instead of Russell, we would have seen Hamilton versus Verstappen 2.0 at least once this 2022 season,
Right, right.
because nobody saw that coming. And I hope that this Spain is a turning point for Hamilton and Mercedes in particular, because George is absolutely nailing it right now and he's soaking up the pressure. And like people say that he has that experience of driving a bad car, and the Williams which he drove last year, the Mercedes is 10 times better, but still a midfield car, but still the third quickest car on an average. So he knows how to extract that extra little bit of performance from bad cars. So that might be helping George. And the last time I think Lewis had that bad car moment was in 2009. He had his rough patches, but 2009 was the year I can compare him with right now. So yeah, the recovery drive was very very good, and get being at 1.53 seconds behind the leader and finishing just under 30 seconds. I don't know what exactly the time gap was, but still the recovery drive he staged just showed that he still has what it takes. And secondly, the Mercedes has made a big step in their proposing problems and all.
Yeah, also to add to your points, Krishanu,
Yes,
all this recovery drive, and he did all this without a safety car.
exactly,
And
exactly.
yes, so it was just pure pace. And between the races, I don't know exactly around which laps, but he was exchanging fastest laps with Verstappen.
Exactly.
So
The Ferrari, Mercedes, and Red Bull trio of them, these drivers were exchanging fastest lap, and
Hmm.
Hamilton quite had it for some time when he was charging down the field.
Hmm.
So it
Of
was
course,
a
Verstappen had the DRS issue and all, but still,
exactly.
Hamilton. I mean, that car particularly with Hamilton, I think giving a fastest lap in that car is not something everyone can do. And
Actually, it might take some time to get accustomed to referring Mercedes as the third best team on an average. It will take some time, but I hope before it takes us, it is a habit for us to address them as the third quickest team, so they can turn their fortunes to being the quickest of all and obliterating the competition, which nobody wants. But we sure as hell want a three-team fight for the championship, like six drivers just gutting it out for the championship.
true, true. Just like
So
people,
I would like to like just consider this. Want you to consider this hypothetical situation where
Yes,
Lewis didn't have to go through that first lap incident with K-Mag. Okay, if he wouldn't have gone through that incident, where do you think he would have finished? Considering his space, he had some serious space there.
I
Throughout the
think second was on the cards. I'll be very bold here because there are very
Yeah.
many ifs and buts and many variables to count upon. But
Yeah.
believe me when I say this, he was on an alternate strategy, starting on the mediums, while
Yeah.
everyone around him was on the soft.
Softs. Yeah.
Pirelli had bought the softest compounds of the race tire they have, and the tire wear was very, very, very quick. So the amount of degradation Red Bull and Ferrari were having, Mercedes might be having on the same level, but we know how Lewis whispers his styles. He has that extra edge of performance when he wants the
true.
car to have it. And given the fact that the car was much more drivable and much more stable in the corners and straights, that just makes me think, and I might even go one step bolder and say that he might have got the race win if not for the first lap incident. The race win might be a bit too far, but he would have led the majority of the amount of the races because he has that experience of leading races, winning championship, and soaking up pressures, even in an inferior car like 2007, 2008, 2009 was a blowback for him. But at the end of
Even
the year, the
2013,
car was
he
good.
managed to win a race.
Yes, 2013 also he
Yeah.
managed to win a race, and this the record of his career that having at least one win every season might
Every
have
season. Yeah.
been continued this year, this race actually.
Yeah.
So the alternate strategy here is very, very much powerful than the other tracks.
Yeah.
So I think second might have been on the cards because the issue with Red Bull was they were having to deal with two drivers who were equally quicker this weekend. So
Yeah.
Checo was asking Max to pass. Then the team wanted Max to pass Checo. So in this kerfuffle between the two drivers, Lewis would have taken advantage, and this is where his experience comes in. George gave a very good fight, and I'm very happy that he's doing so well because he finally got his Mercedes chance. But there is something which Lewis knows, which George is about to know because of the amount of experience he's had.
Yeah, obviously. I mean, he's driving from 15 years.
Exactly, exactly.
And people say, I mean, fans after his dominance in the hybrid era, people say that he can't perform in without the fastest car or so. I think new fans now have proof. I mean, one race can't just prove any point, but yeah, people who think that he can't perform without the fastest car, they can watch this race and they can conclude themselves to that.
Actually, I'd like to add one point here, Mihir. Actually, the people saying that Lewis can't drive a slow car faster than what it is. You see, every champion who has been very, very much successful in this sport, at least once or twice in their career, have to have got to have driven an inferior car after winning the championship highs.
Hmm.
So actually, it takes some time to just sort of get into that rhythm and get into that groove. Ki, chalo, let's get some extra performance out of because drivers like Lewis, Schumacher, Senna, and whatever, they like a specific driving style. They want the car to just what should I say? Just respond to their whims and fancies.
Hmm.
They want a very stable car,
Very
and Lewis has
responsible.
been getting,
Responsible.
yes, a very responsive car, and Lewis has been getting it since 2014. So I'll say a habit of 8 years. It will take some time getting used to a midfield car, because the last time he had such a car was in 2009. So we are seeing this for the third, seeing this in the first, I guess, how many years I have forgotten. So
Yeah, around
there are,
12 years, 12,
yeah,
13
12
years.
years, exactly, 12, 13 years. We are seeing this in 13 years. So there's just one question, I'll put it out on YouTube today, that if you were in Hamilton's shoes, would you have been able to at least get one world championship? At least one world championship. People forget how what it takes to be a Formula One driver, what sort of mentality they have to go through. Because keeping that level of performance year in, year out, we've seen Bottas. People will say the team orders were there and all that stuff. But when this is the sport, and this sport is ruthless in terms of competition, in terms of anything. I might be wrong here. People will contradict me, but this sport has been ruthless. You see with Red Bull, Red Bull is blindly supporting Max, and they are in a way sacrificing Checo's race to just let Max win. So every team has a number one driver. It is a cult status in Formula One, and the team is bound to throw their resources on one driver alone,
Yeah,
because
obviously,
at
and
the end,
with the budget cap and all of
exactly.
that, I think it's not possible to, you know, I think no team wants both of the drivers to fight for championship.
And one more thing, that I currently don't see anyone so much of any sort of kerfuffle in Mercedes garages because of the driver dynamics. Ulta, they are working together. They are working together to solve the car problems. Yes, once the car is competitive, it's fighting for the championships, race win. There might be some explosions, which each and every team have, because you can't have two alpha males racing for a team. We saw it with Nico and Lewis, and the same thing I'm guessing is bound to happen sometime or the other in Mercedes. But right now, Lewis is at a stage of his career where he is experienced highest of the highs, and he's experienced his lowest of the lows. Championships have been won with a much bigger gap and lost with much bigger gap. He has a mountain to climb, but I believe he can climb it out. And George knows that he is the future of it. So just we need to wait and watch. We
Yeah,
need to wait and watch what happens.
yeah, yeah. That was some great insights that we got. Thank you for
Yeah.
sharing them. And yeah, since we are talking about the number two drivers, so I guess we have to talk about this man who like gets into a Ferrari in 2021. At the end of the season, he just outqualifies his teammate in terms of points.
Exactly.
Even though his teammate, they say he had his retirements, but still, he was like really close to him, even on qualies and race pace. Carlos Sainz. So yeah, so he's the he was the first one to spin out, to have that moment in turn four. They said it was tailwind. So let's talk about Carlos Sainz. So the home the home guy, there's so much expectations, so much pressure. So how do you think that his season is going as far as Carlos is concerned and Ferrari, considering that he is in a championship winning car for the first time in his career? And he also went on to say that this is the first time I'm in such a car fighting for where I can believe that I can fight for the championship and actually have a shot over it. So considering all these points, so I would like to know your thoughts as well.
Shall I
Meher,
go first?
yeah, okay, fine. Yeah, Krishanu,
I'll be short. I'll be short.
yeah, sure.
The Ferrari, the F175 is a very handy machine. We have seen it.
Yeah,
It performs well in all sorts of conditions. So this car only has one weakness, that the rear end tends to step out, and we have seen it with 2019 Red Bull with Max and all, that these kinds of driver who like to drive on the limit of the track, they just like the rear end to step out a little bit. So this is a new trait for Carlos, because he's always wanted a car with much more front end and much more rear end grip. Like he wants a stable car, which understeers a little less and oversteers a little bit more.
Mm.
So this trait where the car understeers a lot, it's just making him a bit unstable, and that's why he's going into the gravel traps. And the Barcelona race was very windy, so the tailwind just made the car step out. Step. That's what I have to say.
Definitely. And Mihir, your thoughts? Carlos,
Um,
as in for the whole season, how he's been going compared to his teammate
I
and
think
expected.
last year he finished P5, best of the
Yes,
rest,
yes.
Yeah,
as we
best
say.
of the rest. Yeah.
So yeah, but again, coming from Leclerc fin, it may sound biased, but yes, Leclerc had a bit of bad luck, more bad luck than Carlos. I think P5 was, I think Leclerc could have easily finished P5, but nonetheless, we are not talking about last season. Coming to this season, I think for Carlos, I would say I would just conclude it in two words. It's a combination of mistakes and bad luck both. So yeah, talking specifically about Spanish Grand Prix, he had a decent qualifying. I mean, P3 is a good position to start. It's a good side of the track. Unfortunately, he didn't have a good start, but the grid box is on the good side of the track. And also there were chance if he had gotten a decent start, there were chance to catch the slipstream from Leclerc or probably Verstappen, and just dive down the inside and he could have taken the lead. I mean, there are many dynamics talking about this, but yes, he had a poor start. And yes, as you said, there was even tire degradation problem, overheating problems with tires. And in these conditions, it's already, I mean, difficult to manage the car in the corners, and the tail wheel doesn't help. So yeah, I think it wasn't his mistake. Verstappen suffered from the
Yeah.
same. I
Yeah.
mean, you don't see Verstappen making such mistakes.
Mistake.
He
Yeah.
doesn't.
Definitely.
He doesn't set a foot wrong.
Yeah.
One time, we can believe that Carlos might make such mistake, but I don't believe Verstappen will make such a mistake.
Yeah. I guess the
So
last time I saw Max make a mistake was in Brazil, like in that rain, and that too he got the car under control.
right, right.
When it comes
Hmm.
to Max making his own mistakes. So
Right.
yeah, that was a really good point that you gave. And yeah, you were mentioning about overheating and stuff like that. So yeah, teams did bring in a lot of upgrades. Almost like every team apart from Haas had so many upgrades this weekend. And they seemed, particularly I think with Mercedes, they seem to have been working pretty good. Lewis did say after the race that the porpoising has come under control. The upgrades are really working. So Mercedes are really stepping up.
Guys,
And
I have to step out from the
yeah,
meeting.
sure. Yeah, fine.
Yes, yes.
Sure, sure.
You all
Yeah,
continue.
yeah,
Okay, bye.
yeah, bye.
Bye.
Yeah.
Bye.
Yeah. So yeah, maybe. So yeah, talking about upgrades. Yeah, there were like every team had their own upgrades. So from as far as my personal view is concerned, I think Mercedes upgrades did pay them off really well, and also Ferrari. Uh, Apart from the retirement, which was related to the PU, in terms of aerodynamic upgrades, I think they have made a step forward. Leclerc did say after the race as well that he is positive. He is taking the positives from the race, considering how far they have come, uh, solving the issue of tire overheating and all. So, what are your thoughts on that? Upgrades?
Yes, talking about upgrades, first of all, I would say I would like to talk about the green Red Bull we had
Yes.
this weekend. How can we forget
Yes.
that? I mean, that was a complete copy of Red Bull as we have
Yeah.
seen previously. But I think FIA were clear enough that the car is legal to race, and the car design was already in the wind tunnel, and they just delayed the update due to some reasons. But yeah, I think even with the upgrades, they there was not much performance increase in Aston Martin. But I think um, probably they can work from here and fight it out in the midfield. Probably, I think they are not up to midfield right now. They
Yeah,
are lacking a bit.
yeah,
And next for upgrades, I would like to talk about Ferrari. As you said, Ferrari
yeah,
bought a new rear wing,
yeah,
and they were decent enough to take pole. Leclerc
yeah,
had an absolutely beautiful lap
yeah,
in the race too. Without his DNF, I think he would have easily got the win.
yeah,
And the upgrades were bang on. And yes, I think they can work forward from here. Next race is Monaco. Let's see.
yeah, yeah,
Mercedes too. Mercedes did a stunning job with their upgrades. I mean, the pace Lewis had, George had, even George defended Red Bull. Red Bull is, I think, if not fastest, one of the fastest cars right now.
yeah,
And he defended Red Bull for quite a few laps, both Perez as well as Max. Of course, Max had the DRS issue, but yes. And again, Mercedes, we all know how great of the team they are. They can bounce back from, I think, any of the bad situations they have. So, yeah. Also, talking about upgrades, Haas didn't bring any upgrades, but still they were decent in qualifying. They finished, both the cars finished outside of points in race, but I think the factor which affected them in race was the overheating issue of the power unit. I think Ferrari had the same issue.
yeah.
I don't know exactly what was the issue with power
Hogan.
loss for Leclerc,
Okay.
but yeah, I think that was one of the reasons. We saw Zhu also, Guan Yu
Yeah,
Zhou.
Hogan.
He also got a DNF. I think in general,
Ferrari.
Ferrari PU was suffering a bit more than every other team.
Yeah. So, like, you are allowed to have 3 power units without any grid penalties. So, yeah, which says that one PU should come around 7 to 8 races if you have to finish the season without any
Uh-huh.
grid penalties.
Hmm.
So, yeah, this is the 6th race and they're having PU issues, which is not bad considering 6th race is kind of fine, but still, Ferrari would be hoping for more. So yeah, the upgrades are aerodynamic upgrades are paying off well. Ferrari in terms of reliability, they seem to be pretty good, even in testing, and they seem to be pretty strong. So yeah, hopefully they'll find out the issue. Ferrari are normally very quick in communicating and letting the journalists know about the issue. So hopefully we'll be knowing what the issue is about. And yeah, so yeah, and I would like to also bring up the second driver saga, which is going on, like kind of controversy, like with Checo Perez. Last year, of course, was the first season for him in Red Bull. He did have to give up in certain situations and support Max because he was fighting for the world championship. This season, I really thought he'd be fighting for himself, but yet again, he seemed to have these team orders. So, what are your thoughts on that? Like, in terms of Checo being asked to let Max go?
I mean, we have seen from years Red Bull have and has and will support Max no matter what. And I think it's not surprising to hear, that team orders for Checo. Obviously, it's disheartening a bit because Checo is also working hard. Red Bull, I think without the bad luck Checo had in last couple of races, Red Bull would have won the Constructors Championship as well last year. And really doing well after what the problems Red Bull had with second drivers. And I think it's very early in the season for them to give team orders, but also as Max had the bad luck in 2 races, it was crucial. If we see from the team's point of view, it was crucial for them to give out team orders. And yes, I just like to point out that when Mercedes did the same thing, fans were all angry about Hamilton been told to, sorry, Bottas been told to let Lewis by, and how it was unfair for him. But I think the same fans don't think that this was wrong, and I think that's bias. I mean, if what Mercedes did was wrong, then this is also wrong.
Yeah.
So
So yeah, and
it's perspective. There are different perspectives from different people for different people. As
yeah,
I said, if we look from team's perspective, is it's a very straightforward decision to give let Checo have the second position and let Max win the race, because if Max finished second, I think still Leclerc would have been the championship leader. Right now
yeah,
he's
yeah.
lacking by 6 points,
Six
and
points. Yeah,
if Max would have finished second, Max would be behind 1 point behind Leclerc. So it's a normal, straightforward decision for Red Bull to let Checo let Max by. So let's see.
yeah,
I think now
yeah,
the championship battle might spice up a bit. Both
yeah.
are
Definitely.
equal on points, not equal, but they are not very far.
Yeah,
And also, kudos to Max. He did catch up quite a bit after the bad luck he had.
yeah. He was 46 points behind
Yeah, exactly. He
Leclerc.
was
Yeah,
46 points behind, and
yeah,
Imola was a great weekend for him. He
yeah.
maximized that week and scored maximum points available. So yeah, let's see.
So yeah, this fun fact about this season so far is that Max has either won a race or not finished.
Right,
So
exactly.
yeah, first or
Also,
DNF. Yeah,
but also for this, I would like to put out a point that even if Max didn't DNF in the races he did, he wouldn't have won that races. That races were purely one. I mean, nobody could beat Leclerc in those races. I mean, Australia and
Australia.
Bahrain, both races, Leclerc was unbeatable. Even if Max didn't add the DNFs, he did. He still could have got the points for second. Second, he could have finished second, but not the win. So, just to mention that Leclerc, it doesn't seem fair for Leclerc that people say that Max has finished all the races. Max has finished first in all the races he has started. He has finished. And even if he finished the races, he couldn't have won them. So yeah. Also about talking about this race, mentioning Sunoda, he finished in points P10, beating Gasly. So
Okay.
that's good, pretty decent performance in him. Even in qualifying, I think he outperformed Gasly. So I mean, last year also there were many speculations that he is not that wonder kid, or probably he needs more time. He could have done one more year in F2, but I think he's proving himself that he's a pretty decent driver. I mean, we know how good Gasly is, and it's not a small thing to beat Gasly just in second year of F1. That's so with the new regulations and the completely new car. Also, one more point, Alonso's comeback drive, similar to Hamilton,
Yeah.
starting from last. He started last, right?
Yeah, he took. Yeah, he qualified. He was out in Q3. He
And
took a grid penalty, new power
uh,
unit, and
yes,
yeah, definitely.
and he finished P9, so also a
Yeah,
very decent performance. I think if we talk specifically about Alpine, they are uh, not
I
very.
feel like they are kind of yo-yo team.
Huh,
They qualify really good.
hmm,
Races don't go well for them, or
right,
it's the opposite.
true. Also,
Yeah,
they are not exactly where they should be in the midfield. They are lacking a bit.
yeah,
But yeah, I think Ocon and Alonso are
yeah,
the two of the best options they have, and they can work from here.
yeah. So we were talking about grid penalties, power unit, and Ferrari power unit did have some issues this weekend. So what do you suggest that Leclerc goes for a Leclerc or any Ferrari power unit which failed or had an issue this weekend? Should they go for a new power unit in next weekend, which is Monaco, or should they just let Monaco by, because it is not a power hungry circuit and it's less mileage as well. It's the shortest circuit if I am not wrong on the calendar. And so, what do you said? What are your opinions on that? Should Ferrari cars power units be like go for a new one, or should they continue and finish Monaco with this and then go for a new?
Talking specifically about Ferrari, I would start with Sainz. Sainz, I think, already has the second power unit in his car right
Power
now.
unit, yeah,
He
yeah,
took second unit. I don't remember exactly in which race, but I think this is his second unit. And taking already third unit in Monaco, I think that's not a smart decision. So I think Ferrari should and they will go with the same engine in Sainz car. Talking about Leclerc, I think they first need to sort out what the problem actually was. If it actually is a major problem, which similarly in like very similar to Spanish Grand Prix can result in a DNF. They can think of changing it, but I think without any major problems, I think it's not needed. As you said, Monaco is not a power hungry circuit, and probably they can wait for a couple of more races for a new power engine.
and considering Leclerc and Monaco, the Lux are always against him.
I
Yeah,
just don't want to jinx anything, and fingers crossed.
crossed, yeah,
And he already has the bad luck. I mean, he already crashed in Monaco without even the race week,
yeah, yeah,
race
last
weekend going
weekend,
into
yeah,
action. Yeah, he got he crashed into barriers with Lauda's car,
yeah, Nickelodeon
historic
stuff,
car.
yeah, turn one, yeah,
So I think talking
yeah,
positively, I think he already had the crash Monaco this year.
yeah.
So I
So he
think for
got rid
this,
of it,
he got
hopefully,
rid of it, and probably he can win the race. I mean, at least he can finish the race. Probably he will win next year or a year afterwards. But I mean, not just in F1, he hasn't even finished the race in F2.
yeah, exactly. From since 2017,
Since
yeah,
2017. I mean,
he hasn't finished.
so much bad luck in
Yeah,
that
and
too in Sprint round.
last year he had pole as well.
Last year he had
Yeah,
pole
pole as
and
well. And
everything,
going,
and
yeah,
I think one of the fastest car. And Ferrari were the fastest car that weekend. Even
yeah,
Sainz was on the course to probably fight for the pole. So I think if Leclerc could have started the race, that was an easy win. But unfortunately, that Monaco cars beat him even before the formation lap. So it's just fingers crossed. Let's hope he can get at least just a finish, a podium, just to start. Probably he can win it a year later, or so.
yeah,
Let's see.
yeah. And considering bad luck, since you are talking about bad lucks, there was a driver who had bad luck for a long period of time in his career, Valtteri Bottas, who seemed to have turned around things this year and is doing pretty well in a car which is considered to be best of the rest. And he is really finishing and outperforming the car according to me. And yeah, so Valtteri Bottas. So what are your thoughts on him? He seemed to always put the car in the points, qualify well, and that car also seems to be pretty good. Alfa Romeo, considering where they were last 2 years, they've made a significant improvement. And also, he did say that the car is behaving well in slow corners. And considering Monaco, which is coming up, which has a lot of slow corners.
Hmm.
So, how do you think it is going to go for Valtteri?
He had a very pretty decent season up till now. I
Yeah,
mean, for Spanish Grand Prix, for some of the laps, he was even running P4. So
yeah,
that's very good for an Alfa Romeo. And we all know that he has many times out qualified Hamilton in qualifying.
yeah,
So he's probably one of the best qualifiers on the grid, I would say.
yeah,
So his qualifying performances have been outstanding, even in Alfa Romeo, and many times he has put the car into Q3. I think Alfa Romeo has the pace to be in Q3, but I think Zhu is not right there. I mean, of course, it's his first year in F1, and there are many circuits also that he hasn't been to. new circuits for him, so it's quite tricky. But yes, finishing in points consistently. Bottas has scored many points. I don't know where he's standing in the drivers' championship right now, but yeah,
Yeah.
he has a very decent season up till now, and he can work from here.
And hopefully we can see an Alfa Romeo podium soon this season.
Oh, yeah, that would be great. I don't remember last time when was a Sauber
Uh,
podium.
yeah,
Uh,
it's been
so
a long time. I guess Checo had it last time, if I'm not wrong. It was very long ago.
probably 2012 or 2013, I
Yeah,
guess.
yeah, it's been a long time. So yeah, so I guess we have to talk about getting reaching the end, and we have to talk about this team. This team has been low key throughout the weekend. They seem to have brought the maximum number of upgrades, but I don't know why it hasn't clicked yet for this team. McLaren, the orange papaya army. So, what are your thoughts on them? Considering Daniel Ricciardo and Lando Norris, who are like really quality drivers, still yet not yet finding pace in that car. So, here I would like to know your.
Talking about Norris, I think he was suffering from tonsils, and he was not at his 100%. So that could have been a factor of not of him not performing. And talking about Ricardo, I think he needs to start working more. I mean, we are just fans, sitting from house, comfortable in our chairs, saying that this driver should do this,
Yeah,
he should do that. But I think he has many chances he already had, and
yeah,
now it's time to really start putting out performances. For majority of the races, he has been outperformed by Norris, but
yeah,
I think people believe that Lewis has lost his charm. He's not the same Lewis he was, and similarly, people feel that Daniel Ricciardo is not the same, and he has lost his charm, and he has lost his peak. But I think it's not the case. He can bounce back given the opportunity, given the right car. I mean, Ricardo is one of the drivers who, if he needs to perform, he needs that car exactly what he wants. So, given that car, what he needs, he can easily perform very well. So, let's see upgrades. I think McLaren had quite a few, but they didn't work out. But as we also saw with Aston Martin, they had not just few upgrades; they had the whole
yeah,
new car. But even
yeah,
that didn't work. So let's just see what happens. Time will tell.
yeah. And yeah, so I would like to add one more topic to this before we end it. So yeah, considering what Aston Martin controversy is going in the paddock and also in this F1 world, is that like they seem to have copied uh, Red Bull's design, like exact design, consider the side pods. And this change wasn't like a step by step, weekend by weekend change. This was a drastic change compared to what they had in Miami. So, and their technical chief technical officer Green and team principal Crack, they all seem to have saying that this, while developing this car, they already had two different designs. And this is what they claim. They say that they had two different designs and they went with the one which they launched. And eventually it ended up giving more downforce and made it a bit draggy. So they went with their previous designs only. So that is what they claim. But still, Red Bull have launched an investigation as well. And they are going through their files, CAT files, and all those things. So let's see how this pans out. And yeah, Red Bull did a cheeky thing, like bringing in a green edition of Red Bull. Have you seen that?
Aston Martin were the title sponsors of Red Bull, so
Uh,
Aston Martin Red Bull Racing is back.
yeah, there were
But
quite a lot of memes.
uh,
Uh, yeah. So before ending, I would like to know how much would you rate this weekend out of 5?
out of
Spanish.
5, I would say 3.5. specifically because Leclerc DNF. But it was a pretty good race. If Leclerc
Yeah.
won, this would have easily 4.5 or 5. This would have been easily 4.5 or 5. But yes, as Leclerc DNF, this was 3.5 for me. But talking about racing, we saw pretty much very good battles. I mean,
Yeah.
Russell fighting both the Red Bulls.
Yeah.
Also, midfield battles, Alonso overtaking, same very similar move what Vettel did.
Yeah. Yeah.
There were
Definitely.
pretty good battles.
Yeah. So yeah, these rule changes definitely are paying off in the right way. They're making, as promised, they are bringing in racing closing, and the teams to gaps are being reduced drastically. So one-on-one battle is becoming easy. So yeah, that's it from our side. Would you like to add anything from your side?
No, nothing,
Yeah.
nothing from us. I think we covered all the major
Yeah.
points about this race.
Yeah.
And just would like to conclude with that. People watching the video, please like, subscribe us,
Yeah.
follow IFF1 on all the social media
Social
platforms.
media. Yeah.
Don't forget to attend screenings with us. We are hosting screenings in every major cities, and in future we are trying to cover as many cities as we can.
Yes.
We are launching video podcasts as you are already watching it, and we are working for many more content. So stay tuned and keep supporting. That's
Yeah.
all. Goodbye.
Yeah. Thank you, Meher. Thank you everyone for watching it. I'd like to say this again. Please like, share, and subscribe. Peace out. Thank you.